So, in what way does your media product use, develop and challenge forms and conventions of real media products? So, my film Intuition definitely challenges the conventions more than it fits them. My storyline has conventional undertones as it explores murder and mental illness. However, having no dialogue and showing a film visually is very uncommon in film, and it's something that it really isn't generally seen in modern film. I believe this worked very well, as it made my character seem even more detached from reality and the whole world. It also has many other areas which aren't conventional, and even some which are, which I am going to talk about in this video. So, starting with editing. It firstly uses superimposition, which is something that isn't commonly seen within my genre. The reason I decided to use this form of double exposure was to make the premonitions seem more dreamlike and, I guess, make it clear to my audience that that was the premonitions and that was the visions the man was having, and to ensure that they knew what was happening. Another reason I use them is for transitions, such as the bit in between scenes. So the part where the man leaves his house and goes into the car where he's going towards the crime scene. I used a form of double exposure, overlapped the two clips to make the transition a bit smoother and clearer. I also used a split screen, as this is another editing technique that I wanted to include, as I was really inspired by the television series Fargo. It seemed to fit really well in my film, as I used it in the part of where the man is at work, and it really makes his day seem more hardworking, and it seems to make it drag, and it shows the amount of work he's doing and how he's a working class man, and it just kind of makes the film more interesting, I guess. It makes it more interesting. It's quite unusual, makes it a bit different for the audience to see. However, some conventional things I did use was things like jump cuts and ellipses. This again made the protagonist's day seem longer and kind of showed his daily routine, I guess, how each day is the same, each day is boring, each day is not exciting for him. I used the jump cuts very prominently in the beginning when it shows him waking up to getting home from work, as I really wanted to show his daily life, and I really wanted to show how there was no one else in his life but him. I also used ellipsis and jump cuts to kind of make the beginning drag. I really wanted it to be slow paced, and I wanted the end to come more as a shock, and I really wanted it all to happen quite suddenly, so the plot twist kind of was more highlighted, I guess, and then I guess everything kind of happens at once all in the end. These two types of editing techniques definitely use the conventions, as they're very commonly seen in films and especially kind of in my genre. If they didn't exist in film, then I guess there wouldn't really be a developed storyline or plot. Okay, moving on to lighting. So I think quite a main area of my film is the red lighting. It's also used in my poster as one of my ancillary tasks, to kind of highlight how that's a very main area, a very prominent area. I wanted that to come through, I guess. I wanted to suggest that the red man, the one shown in the lighting, is, I guess it was a symbolism, as I wanted it to come through that it was his inner evil self, or if something bad was about to happen, and it could really set the mood of a thriller, I guess. It definitely, from the start, it set the mood as a thriller, it set the tension, and it was just something very unusual. Obviously it challenges the conventions, as it really isn't seen often in films or thrillers. So I use this red lighting during my premonitions and when my protagonist wakes up, suggesting his inner evil self is out to get to him and to hint to my audience that a bad situation is upon my character. As I said before, this type of lighting is challenging the thriller conventions, which usually consist of dark shadows, low-key lighting, flickering lights, things like that, which are usually seen in thriller films, but I kind of went against that idea as I wanted to make mine different. I wanted to make it a bit more alternative, I guess. I was really inspired by the film Only God Forgives, which is a really small independent film. Don't really think many people know about it, but it uses really lovely lighting. It's got beautiful cinematography in, and I saw it and I really wanted to use it in my film. All the outside shots are filmed with natural lighting, as I obviously don't have a huge budget to buy expensive lighting equipment. But I did actually choose a day with bad weather, with rain and things like that, as I wanted to create the mood of depression and his dull life, and it kind of went with my colour grading as well, with my colour grading I used cool colours like blues and greys and had low saturation to kind of bring down the mood of my film, which also reflects my character, I guess, as he's obviously very depressed, a very lonely man. The dull grey and rain suggests the man's depressed state. This was influenced by the Thriller 7, as it fitted the dark and dreary conventions, making the film seem quite dark. Okay, moving on to cinematography. I've got quite a lot to say about this one. The cinematography featured in my film is mainly used within my genre. However, it also challenges it at moments, obviously. Thriller camera work conventions mainly consist of basic cinematography, for instance, close-ups, long shots, mid-shots, panning and tracking shots, all the usual. Obviously, as every film uses them basic shots. That's just the way films are kind of built upon, and then you kind of use more interesting, complex camera work within those as well, which is what I did. As I said, I've used many of these to suit the style. However, I have tried to challenge this and use them in more of a creative way. So, for example, when the protagonist is falling back asleep after he has experienced his premonitions, I framed the mid-shot in the mirror to make it kind of more creative and interesting for the audience. Other conventional cinematography in thrillers include like the camera moving around really frantically, point of view shots used a lot, which is I really wanted to avoid in my film. I don't like point of view shots at all. So I definitely think I've kind of gone against this idea, as my shots are steadier and smooth, which juxtapose against the man's dull life, and how his life is becoming disturbed. Other common shots used are over-the-shoulder shots to emphasise the idea that someone is following the victim, close-ups and extreme close-ups, invading the character's space. I have used these types of shots, but not for these reasons. Close-ups are most prominent in my film, as characterisation, I really wanted it to be a huge part of the film, and I really wanted the character to come across. So using close-ups really kind of showed the character's emotions and how he was feeling at the time, how he reacted to things. Another shot that is really frequently seen in psychological thrillers are Dutch tilts. I guess they kind of symbolise and create a feeling of chaos. A stereotypical example in a thriller film would be like the first shot of a dead body in a film, and there would be a Dutch tilt to highlight the dramatic and tense moment. I use a Dutch tilt too when the man is looking at his evidence board, which kind of revealed how his life is turning upside down. Okay, moving on to mise en scène. So obviously my location was really limited. I didn't really have the budget to create a really realistic and conventional murder scene, as most thrillers have. However, using a disused railway station definitely is the convention of abandonment, and it really suits my genre well, as it gave it a new and eerie dimension as well. It definitely went well with the thriller convention, as it linked with my lonely and lost character. Yeah. I also used kind of everyday locations, such as the protagonist's bedroom and bathroom. This is kind of seen in most psychological thrillers, these kind of everyday locations, as it allows the audience to relate and to be engrossed in the film and character. The bedroom is also really run down, which links with most thrillers such as Taxi Driver or The Machinist. The costume was really simplistic. I didn't really want to take on board anything really drastic, no fancy costumes, because I didn't want to take the attention away from the character or the plot. as kind of that was obviously the main thing of my film. The protagonist wore 3 different costumes to show the audience how the film was meant to be over a long period of time. Well, not a long period of time, over a couple of days, I guess, which kind of made the film feel more realistic, I guess, as not all of what happened to him would have happened in a day, it would have happened over a week or a couple of days, which kind of goes with the convention of a film, as films aren't shown all in one day, they're kind of shown over a period of time. So it started with the man wearing a black long sleeve top and jogging bottoms, which I kind of guess would connote badness and something evil is upon him. It was also just kind of basic kind of sleeping wear, so it kind of suggests that he was asleep and that he's in his pyjamas, I guess. The second costume is probably the main one, as it was the protagonist's work overalls, suggesting the man's profession as a painter and decorator or general builder, revealing his poor working class status and hard work ethic. The final costume for the protagonist is a grey sweatshirt, black jogging bottoms and trainers. This costume is basic and everyday location that the audience can kind of relate to. And lastly, I'm going to be speaking about sound and music. I believe the sound of my film goes against the conventions as it doesn't have any dialogue. If you watch any modern thrillers, the majority of them have dialogue and talk all the way through. Dialogue is used to tell the story, it is used to develop the characters, it's used to tell the audience what's going on, but this time in mine I really wanted just to do this visually. It is highly unlikely to have no dialogue entirely like my own. I deliberately chose to do it this way as it made my character's life seem lonelier and detached from reality, as he had no one to talk to. So the music is definitely alternative and something different than the day-to-day usual thriller usually has. Conventions of music for thrillers usually contain orchestral, eerie music, although it does kind of use little conventions to kind of suit the style of my film, such as an intense build-up at the end to make the plot twist seem more dramatic. I wanted something subtle and minimalistic, I knew that from the start. I feel like sometimes less is more, especially for the music. I didn't want anything really dramatic, I didn't want anything that took the attention away from my storyline or my character. It isn't simplistic in a way where it's not even noticeable, it's done so well that it completely changes the film. So I really wanted something kind of bassy and something with really high synths. This is actually seen in thrillers such as The Hunger Games, when all the contestants get released into the arena. The high synths and white noise creates an illusion of disorientation and mayhem, highlighting the protagonist's mental stability. However, the piano that is featured throughout my film gives the film a unique and individual mood and feel. The minor chords played give the film a sense of loss and darkness and sadness, which links to my character. There's also an upbeat tempo when the man is driving to the murder scene, which plays along with the high synths and piano. This builds up and crescendos throughout until the end. It gradually creates more and more tension, which is what I really wanted. As I believe the music definitely heightens the film, I think it makes the plot twists seem more prominent and seem more dramatic and seem more shocking. So yeah, that is evaluation question 1. I'll be posting question 2 up soon. Very much hope you've enjoyed and I'll see you soon.